You're watching BBC Breakfast. It's 8:59.
This is BBC News, the headlines at 9 o'clock. The government says all adults across the UK have now been offered a coronavirus booster. But there are concerns many people aren't turning up for their appointments. In his New Year's message, Boris Johnson has urged people to take a COVID test before celebrating tonight. The Scottish and Welsh governments are urging people not to cross the English border to avoid New Year's Eve COVID restrictions.
We've come up from Bridgend to spend New Year's Eve in London, and we're hoping to come down here and see some fireworks.
Firefighters are battling one of the most destructive ever wildfires in the US state of Colorado. Hundreds of homes have been destroyed and more than 30,000 people have been forced to evacuate the area. Relieved and grateful, the victims of Ghislaine Maxwell have been speaking after she was convicted of grooming girls to be abused by Jeffrey Epstein. Her family say they cannot accept the verdict. Joe Biden has again told President Vladimir Putin the US and its allies will respond decisively if Russia does not de-escalate tensions on his country's border with Ukraine. And as the big celebration approaches, are you getting ready for your New Year's resolutions? We ask, are they a good thing? Good morning. The government says it's met a target to offer COVID booster jabs to all adults in England by today, as part of efforts to slow the spread of the Omicron variant. The same claim has been made in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. But as people contemplate celebrating the new year tonight, the Prime Minister has warned people to be cautious and take a COVID test before going out. In a year-end message, Boris Johnson praised what he called the heroic vaccination effort across the country. But NHS bosses say some vaccination centres have reported as many as 40% of people failed to turn up for booked appointments. Boris Johnson has resisted calls to impose new regulations in England, despite rising COVID cases across the country. In Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, tighter rules are now in place for pubs, bars and restaurants, and there are restrictions on the number of people who can gather. Edinburgh's Hogmanay events have been cancelled, while Wales First Minister Mark Drakeford has asked those travelling to England to see in the new year to think consciously and carefully about their plans. Yesterday, UK daily COVID cases reached another record high of more than 189,200. The figure includes 2 days of data from Wales due to reporting backlogs over Christmas. And there's continuing concern over a shortage of PCR and lateral flow tests. The Health Secretary Sajid Javid says the government will triple the supply of lateral flow tests to 300 million a month by February. Matt Graveling reports.